Sega.
Greetings, lords and ladies, and welcome to another episode of the War Council. Today we're having a closer look at melee infantry. Melee infantry makes up the backbone of your army. Especially early on in the game, you will have to rely on swordsmen, spearmen and the like when facing the enemy, and it's important to know their strengths and weaknesses if you want to be successful on the battlefield. At the beginning of the game, even before you build any barracks, you have 4 militia units in your army, 2 levies and 2 hunter units, which are based in your castle instead of a separate military building. Levies are generally pretty vulnerable due to their light armor. However, they do make up for it in numbers, especially at the beginning of the game. Unlike other units, levies and hunters start with a full squad of 24 men, and they work best against cavalry. Levies can pick rally or enrage as their unit skills. Rally brings fallen soldiers back at the press of a button and will make sure your levies stay in battle for much longer. If your motto is the best defense is a good offense, then enrage might be more your cup of tea. It increases the unit's attack for a 10-second window of pain. Since they are your weakest melee units, you should make sure you have some backup handy and pick the right opponents. Focus on cavalry and stay away from other melee and heavy melee infantry. The other 4 units we're focusing on today are all recruited in the barracks, the first military building you can build in the game. Swordsmen are a sturdy frontline unit. They have the best defense stats of all barracks units, but they are lacking it somewhat in attack. They carry long swords and shields into battle and wear chainmail, so medium armor. They work excellently against spear units and lightly armored foes, like levies and ranged infantry. Their defensive unit skill is Saviors, which allows them to swap position with a friendly unit in front of them, while also getting a defensive bonus. This makes them an excellent support unit, for instance for cavalry or spear units that are losing their battle in the front line. Their offensive skill, Critical Strike, lets them ignore the armor bonus of their opponent. This means they become a lot more efficient against medium and heavily armored opposition. Spearmen are the bigger and better versions of levies and your best defense against cavalry. However, they are vulnerable against other melee infantry and especially against heavy melee infantry like longsword, greatsword and great axe knights. Despite being a frontline unit, spearmen are all about defending against cavalry. Therefore, they will need a little more of your attention at the start of the battle when you try to align them with the enemy riders. The same goes for your own cavalry facing spearmen in the enemy army. You should also make sure to have a supporting unit ready to help them out if they are mismatched in battle. This is reflected in their unit skills as well, as both are defensive. Like levies, they can rely on rally to replenish their ranks. Alternatively, spearmen can brace for the enemy charge using spear wall. This makes them invulnerable to charge and melee damage for some time, but bear in mind that ranged attacks still do damage and are more dangerous than for other barracks units because spearmen don't carry shields. Macemen are the most balanced unit stationed in the barracks, with better attack but weaker defense than swordsmen, and weaker attack but better defense than axemen. Their maces make them efficient against lightly armored opponents as well as other melee infantry in medium armor, and their medium shields and good defense give them a decent resistance against ranged attacks. As defensive skill, macemen can choose Invictus, making them invulnerable to melee and ranged damage for some time. Like swordsmen and axemen, they can also benefit from the order Shield Wall, granting them the same invulnerability. Alternatively, they can boost their attack using the Enrage skill. Axemen are the glass cannon amongst melee infantry, with a very high attack, rivaling that of some knights and cavalry units, but very low defense. This makes them a high-risk, high-reward unit. If you can keep them alive for long enough, they can dish out a lot of damage, so be sure to keep them safe from ranged attacks. Their axes work best against heavy armor, making axemen a good choice for attacking heavy infantry like knights. To keep them in the fight for long enough, they have the Invictus skill in their arsenal, and you can also cast Shield Wall on them to keep them safe. Their offensive skill also prolongs their time in battle by scaring their opponents away. Battle Cry gives them a chance to strike fear into their opponents. The more enemies turn on the spot and run, the fewer can take advantage of the axeman's low defense stat. Like the order War Cry, it also removes any buffs currently placed on the enemy units, and can thus give your units an additional edge. And that's it for this episode. Join us soon for more insights on ranged infantry. Check out the other War Counter videos and King's Counter series for more battle and realm tutorials. And don't forget to follow our social media channels for more news, tips and tricks and giveaways. Until next time, keep it regal.